The Chargers front office have made some, let's say, conservative moves in 2026 in free agency. But despite having $100 million in cap space, they have up to this point some glaring holes in the roster going into the 2026 season. So assuming they're done in free agency, let's do our first mock draft for 2026 and see what the Chargers can get in April. Let's get into it. Better than us. Nobody. All right, mock draft 1.0. Who is the Chargers going to pick in April? Late April, 23rd, 24th-ish, around that time frame. Last week of April, the I guess you can say man weekend when it comes down to things happening in April. You know, now don't a whole lot of husbandly duties get done during the draft. You know, from our perspective, but you know we'll get into all that later. But yes, the mock draft version 1.0 is here. We're going to do a straight up draft. We're not going to trade any picks. We're not going to get anything, you know, moving and shaking as far as the draft picks we have. And I'm going to reveal what picks we have and what picks we should, or what positions we should be targeting in the 2026 draft, being that the roster is we're currently constructed right now. Assuming we don't do any other moves. Not much out there to be had anyway, outside of maybe a receiver, a corner, or maybe an older interior O lineman, right? So we want to talk about exactly what we're going to get in those draft picks. And it's interesting because, like I said, we only got 5 picks in the draft. So we got pick 22, pick 55, pick 86, pick 123, and pick 204. Rounds 1, 2, 3, 4, and 6. So what do we need in that stretch? And I've talked about this and on several occasions, you know, videos I've done in the last couple of weeks about the fact that we have not addressed in the proper manner the interior O-line. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to double down on it. We're going to draft 2 O-linemen in the first 2 rounds. 1 and 2, we're going interior O-line. Best player available that fits Mac McDaniel's scheme, we're doing it. If I'm the GM and I'm chefing this thing, and Joe Ortiz and Jim Harbaugh and company, if you're listening, this is what I'm doing. And I trust me when I say what we probably can get in that particular order is going to be pretty good for the team. And I think they're Harbaugh guys. So, yeah, I'm going to pick 1 interior O-lineman, best available. I'm looking at Vega potentially, looking at Pregnon, worst case, Rutledge or somebody of that nature, Besantis. Interior O-line, pick 2, I'm doing that as well to see what value I can get there. Then third round, I'm looking interior D lineman or edge, whoever's better. Same thing in the 4th, and in the tight end or interior linebacker in the 6th. See if I can get some value there. So we're going to jump right into it, and we're going to get into exactly what we're going to get in 2026 in our first mock draft. So we're on PFF, and as I alluded to, I'm going after 2 interior O linemen with the first 2 picks. I'm not messing around. I refuse to look at an offense with Cole Strange and Trey Pipkin or Trevor Penning or Ben Cleveland in the interior next to Biotish. So I'm going after 2 interior D linemen with the first 2 picks. I'm not messing around here. I wanted the edge with the first pick and get a solid interior lineman with the second pick, but doesn't look like that's going to happen. Some of the guys that I've mocked up to this point offline or on social media have been moving up the draft boards. So you likely won't even be available at 22. So it looks like we're going to draft the best available O-lineman in the first round. So let's get into it. So we're going to do a straight out draft. We're not going to trade any picks or do anything, any movement. We're going to draft exactly where we're at. Just to review our picks, we can't see them small in there. We got 22, 55, 86, 123, and 204. We got 5 picks. So got to make the most of it. Like I was talking about in previous videos, this is Harbaugh's, defining year in regards to him knowing the talent because he recruited them. He played against them. He knows all the intel in regards to this last college class. So let's talk about what we can do. So I'm going to start this draft. I'm not going to try to run it too fast, and we'll see who gets picked before 22, and we'll see what we can draft. Let's get into it. All right, Mendoza went first. No surprise there. So, yeah, it's running pretty good. All right. So let's see what we got here. Ironically, Vega went already. I talked about it before. I didn't think Vega was going to be there. Let's scroll up real quick to see where he went. Alrighty, he went to the Vikings, ironically, at 18. Okay. All right. So with that being said, that leaves us with, let's talk about interior alignment. Let's start there. Clearly, Emmanuel Pregnon there at 22. He's marked at 36 or ranked at 36. I don't get it. He's a first round talent to me. So that's a no brainer for me. I'm taking him right there at 22. All right. So the next pick is 55. So we'll see how things flow there. Watching the draft board. Okay. Okay. Let's see. Let's see. All right. Mason went Chase Biotish right before, and Jenny Dunker went right before I picked. How ironic. How ironic. So let's see. Let's start with the tackles. Let's see if there are any tackles that can float into guard that are available. Ironically, I talked about this guy on the Boat Boss podcast, Brian Parker II. He's slated to likely be an interior O lineman, although he was a tackle in college. So he's an option. So let's look what the other interior alignment look like outside of what Parker is looking like. Keelan Rutledge, who I'm not as high on as Besantis or clearly, Vega or Pregnon, who we took. Jalen Farmer is kind of on my list. I really, really, although we don't need a center, I really want Jake Slaughter, but Jake Slaughter actually before he falls to the third round. In most mocks I've done so far. Bute Stevens, 133. I like him as well, but again, high value to take him in a second, right? So for this regard, so let's look real quick. Let's see what Caleb Rush is blocking stats are like. They're in the 70s, right? And I noticed that the difference between him and Brian Parker is quite different. Let's bring up Brian Parker here. Tackles. All right, let's bring him up here. If we look at Brian Parker, a staunch difference. Staunch difference. Brian Parker is 6'5", 305. I mean, he's tailor-made for about guard size. I mean, he literally is 305. I mean, I think he's a little light for to be a tackle, in all honesty. So I would argue that he's a guard. Zone blocking scheme is an 89 grade overall, which Mike McDaniel runs. 83 in both pass and run blocking. Yeah. So we're going to take him and move him in the guard. We're going to take him with our second pick. All right. So now we're looking at interior D-line. We're looking at edge potentially. We're looking at tight end probably or inside linebacker later in the draft. But yeah, Derek Moore just went in the third round early, so we're going to miss out on him. He was one of the guys I had targeted. All right, so let's start with the edge room. Let's look at that first and see what we can get here. Okay, all right. LT Overton, not too high on him. I would say that I definitely like Jason Barham. Ironically enough, I coached this kid when he was in youth football. Really good run defender from Michigan. He needs to work on his pass rush moves, but I think that you can develop that a tad. Being in the room with Khalil Mack for at least a year, not bad to learn from. Not mad at that pick. Mikhail Kamara is another one I've been eyeing. He's another option there. Ndamukong Tucker. Ndamukong Tucker is interesting here because although he's at 148, we're at 86 right now. He was coached by Chris O'Leary in Western Michigan. So he knows him intimately, but he's a 148 pick. So we probably can sneak and get him in the fourth or fifth potentially. And the guy that I'm really sleeping on, people I think really are sleeping on is Caden Curry. Caden Curry is slighted at 189, but he's not that. Like, I'm just show you his stats real quick. I mean, look at his pass rush grade, look at his run defense grade, and he had 12 sacks on the same roster with Sonny Styles and Averill Reese. That's just to tell you exactly how good he was, despite the fact that he was, he's ranked low in the totem pole in regards to defenders in his draft class. So I would say that, interesting enough. Let's look at the interior D lineman before we make a decision. Let's look at the interior D lineman. So the D lineman, you have Rashad Benny, Dante Corleone, Caleb Proctor, who's interesting. He's a good pass rushing DT, not really a good run defender. This is an interesting one. This is the interesting one. Albert Regis, who's at 165, I think we can get. So we have pick a 123 after that. We can get Albert Regis in the third round. We went edge here. Because I think Albert Regis is a really good run defender. 82.6 run defense grade. Not really a solid pass rusher at 317 pounds, but he's solid. He's definitely solid. I like his game, but especially how he looks on tape. So I would argue that we could probably go. Let's just look best available real quick. I would argue that we can probably go edge here with Jason Barham, and then we can get a DT in the fourth round, and then we do best available with the last pick. So let's do that. All right, so we get into the edge room here. So I'm going to take Jason. He's slated one, so take him at 86. I like his numbers over Overton or Crawford, especially from a run defense perspective. That's the trick. You get a lot of guys that are really pass rush specialists, but they don't defend the run well at all, and they don't necessarily always develop it. Look at Adolfo Owe, who we let walk to Commanders. He never was good, even in the 4 years in the league. He was never good at run defense. He could pass rush all day long, but you really limit your ability to be on the field if you can't defend the run. So Jay Sean can defend the run, and we can teach him how to rush the passer in a finite role. So I'm gonna take Jay Sean at the third pick. All right, so now we're looking at an interior D lineman. We're looking at a linebacker. We're looking at a tight end potentially with our next couple of picks. So we'll see how the draft board falls. So we're getting to the fourth round here. All right, 15 picks to ours. We'll see how things flow. All right, all right. Well, not too bad, not too bad, not too bad so far. Ironically, Kamara went 2 picks ahead of us. If I had waited for Kamara, I'd have missed out on 2 picks. That's crazy. All right, so let's go back to the interior D line real quick. I think we need another body to go along with the guys we have in the room. And my guy Albert Regas is still there. Albert Regas is still there. Let's take a peek at the interior linebackers to see if there's any steals here. Bryce Boschetter, it's not bad. I like Caleb Elam's Orr as well. Terry York is a pretty solid player as well, but Trey Moore, I like him. So 3 guys are here at the interior linebacker spot, but it's not a real deep need. I mean, it's a need, but it's not a guaranteed need. I think we can probably get some value later. All right. So look at tight ends real quick. Yeah, Dallin Bentley at 142, he's not bad. But I'm looking at Daquan Wright to get him later. Oscar Delp, because Oscar Delp just ran a 4.440 at his pro days. Interesting enough, and look where he's slated at right now at 1.215. So we can definitely get him in the second round potentially. I mean, in the sixth round, excuse me. So yeah, so let's go ahead and knock out the interior D lineman guy right now. Let's go ahead and get Albert Regis, get him in the house to go along with Caldwell Tart. With the I guess we'll see with the Arizona Cardinal guy we got. It was a Dalvin Tomlinson, and of course Justin Eboigbe, who had a great year in 2025. Nobody really paid attention to that. He had a great year. Go look up his stats if you think I'm lying. I talked about it before. He had a great year. All right, so we're skipping the fifth round. Obviously, we trade that fifth round pick away, so we have to wait to the sixth round. But so now we're looking at interior lineman, tight end. Interior linebacker and tight end. See who's the best available in that position. So if Oscar Delp is there, I'm going to sleep while taking him. But if he's not, I'll look for interior linebacker to see who's on the board still. All right, so we're up with our last pick. All right, so let's look at the linebackers first. So we got Jack Kelly, Harold Perkins, Penty. Yeah, not looking at most of the guys I liked and I got on my board are gone here. So let's look at the tight ends. All righty. Okay, so Daquan Wright is there, who's a really good receiving tight end, but he doesn't really block that well. He got a 43.2 run blocking grade at 6'5", 255. Now, Oscar Delp is interesting because, again, he's super fast and got a much better run blocking grade of 59.4. And like I said, he ran a 4.440 at his combine, 6'5", 245. So, yeah, so we're going to draft Oscar Delp here. And we're going to get this rolling. I like it. I like it, man. Let's look at the picks as the board finishes. So we got Pregnon at 1. We got Parker at 2. So those are your guards. I like that. I like Jayshawn Barham with a developmental edge. I like Regas' developmental DT, good run stopper. They're both good in run defense. So we can really solidify our run defense and put them on the field early and not be concerned about our run defense with them on the field. I like that. And Oscar Delp in the 6, still him in the 204. Absolutely, absolutely. To pair him up with Kohler, OG, and him, yeah. I like that draft. I like that draft. Now, for some reason, PFF doesn't love my my draft, but this fits. It fits our needs 100% of the 100% of the time. It really does. It really does. So yeah, I'm loving our 2 guards, studs in my opinion, really good blockers on both sides, pass and run blocking. Jayshawn is a really good run defender with an upside with his pass rush. Albert Regas is a really good run defender with upside pass rushing ability. Oscar Delp was a stud tight end, a tight end 2 or 3 with OG and Kohler in the building, and they both all run block pretty decent. Yeah, I like this. I really like this. So let me know in the comments what you think about this draft, man. Yeah, this is a really good one. So yeah, so that's gonna get it. That's gonna get it done for sure. Yeah, I like that draft. So yeah, yet again, let me know in the comments what you think about it. It was definitely a good draft for what we have from a 5-pick perspective. I think we got some solid value there. So again, let me know in the comments how you feel about it, and we'll get to on Thursday. We'll get to a trade down mock. We're gonna do a trade down mock. We're gonna target one of the teams that doesn't have a first round pick, and maybe we can get some good value picks, and maybe get multiple second or third rounders with our first round pick by trading down. So we're gonna do that on Thursday. So check that out. Check out all our videos on the Electric Shock Podcast. And if you're looking for the Electric Shock Podcast on Any Space, Anytime, we're on YouTube. Please hit the subscribe button to support our podcast movement. Hit us up on social media if you have any questions about Chargers news. We can be found on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and Gmail. The handle is at Electric Shock Pod, no K, Electric Shock Pod, no K, on all platforms. So please get asked for all things Chargers. But in the meantime, between time, you got to do one thing and one thing well. You always got to remember to boat up.